Hi, race fans. Welcome, man. We're live tonight here, Darlington, South Carolina. Well, they call it Lady in Black here because that's a treacherous track here at Darlington. But we're here for the Sim500 Nemesis Lab K&N series. Going to kick it off. It's been an exciting series so far. Well, Joe White up here in the booth, accompanied by Jeff. Jeff, how you doing?
I'm doing good. It's nice to be back up in the booth. It's been a while. College keeps me on my toes at all times, but it teaches me what I need to know about race cars and how they work. So I'm going to keep it up and keep going, I think.
Hey, man, no doubt about it. It has been some awesome racing here. The series has definitely been exciting, to say the least. I mean, these guys out here have just, week in and week out, put on some exciting races. We've seen some wild finishes here. And I think tonight's going to be pretty wild, too. It's Darlington.
Oh, it always is wild, especially in these cars at Darlington. We were talking about it earlier, but the hardest thing about these cars is that when you hit the wall, these cars get stuck to it, and you have to work so hard to get them off the wall, and you just lose so much speed. And at a place like Darlington, where the higher you are, the closer you are to the wall, the faster you are. If someone taps the wall here and gets into it, it's going to be trouble. So that is one thing to keep in mind here.
Yeah, we always talk about that to be in the Darlington stripe there as we look to see what we got. Like David Comstock's the man on top right now, putting it on pole. Mark Arthur there in second. Brian Macklin sitting up in third. Tommy Ryan fourth right now. And Anthony Navarro rounds the top five for the moment. Still got a few more, a little bit here time maybe to make up. Getting set and get about it. That's going to change. Josh Parker jumps to the top side. But, yeah, we talk about it. Darlington there, Jeff, man. Coming into these turns, that high side, that wall, it'll snap out there and bite you.
You're absolutely right. It's like it reaches out and grabs you and pulls you in, and there's just nothing you can do.
Yeah, I know, and I think all night long, man, we're going to see that here as well. Let's grid these guys up here tonight. We're getting set to go racing here at Darlington, and Josh Parker takes that top spot away from him. You got David Comstock's going to start there in second. Mark Arthur up in the third. Brian Macklin in fourth. Tommy Ryan fifth. Anthony Navarro sixth. Nick Cohan sitting in the seventh. Mike Matesi there in eighth. Steve Ritter the ninth. Chad Coleman rounds the top tens. Look through the rest of the field. I said week in and week out, there's some bad, fast drivers and some bad, fast cars. They're about to do some awful bad, fast things at Darlington.
It's going to be a very quick race. I noticed that there is a big gap between the field, 28.660 is the top time, and you have guys that are up to half a second off, and that's just the way it is here. They're not bad drivers. It's just that you either get this track or you don't. It's on your side or it isn't. You're chosen or you're not. So we'll have to see. Maybe we can see someone come from the back, but passing here is awfully difficult. And you might be saying to yourself, if you haven't seen a race here before, well, why don't they go to the bottom? Why don't they try that? There's no grip. When you get below, you'll see it. There's a dotted white line. If you get below that, you are out of grip and your car is going around. Best of luck to you.
And, coming in and out of the turns here is very treacherous, too. You kind of got a lot of bumps there. It's just a unique style track. It's not really an oval shape. Both turns on both ends of the track are very, very different. So you've got to kind of pick how, well, in real life racing, you got to pick out how the car's set up. Here, it's a fixed setup no matter what. But so you've got to pick how you enter and exit those turns on each end. Again, like you just said, hard to pass. That's why I think we're going to see a lot of the passing early on. But you're right. I never was fond of this place. Didn't really run too well here.
I never run well here either. The last IndyCar race that I did here on iRacing, I won it. It was here at Darlington, and I've done a lot of races. And I have never been as scared as I was passing the guy for the lead, being side by side. Granted, those IndyCars were going about 220 miles an hour, and that was terrifying. But it's not any easier here at 160 miles an hour where these guys are running. It's just as difficult. And when you're coming off the turn, like you mentioned, it's so easy to hit these bumps. There's massive bumps off the turns 2 and 4. It takes you right up into the wall. It grabs you, and you're done. You're along for the ride.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, and again, with your tires new, you can get down there, maybe make a pass, try to slingshot around. The best opportunity for pass is coming out of the turns. I'm not saying you can't do it going in. We have seen some awesome finishes, here in the past before. And I think tonight's going to be another one. It's just all going to come down to, how you approach this track and how you actually, you don't want to run it. Because you said it earlier, you either got this place or you don't. There's usually no in between here. But pace cars in, we're going green flag racing. Darlington style here for the Nemesis Lab K&N Series. Green flag's about to fly, and we're racing at Darlington.
Looks like a checkup a little further back in the field, probably about row 10, but Josh Parker has to get clear of this 42, and he does. He's going to take it out, try and get up to the walls. You see the 18, the 30's in the wall back there.
Oh, already, like you said, sucked up against the wall there. Contact made, and
EJ O'Rourke goes around.
Yep,
He got loose off the corner.
That's our points leaders, if I'm not mistaken. Let's go back on the replay here and see what happened to him. There's a big crash.
Big wreck. They are still wrecking here, trying to get checked up. There's a lot of cars with damage.
Yeah, let's go back on the replay and watch right here. Let's watch the 41. He got down on the apron, and you mentioned it. Just that car came right out from under him. And I'm not sure. Whoa, another car just kind of slid. See what happened to that other machine right there, because I'm not sure what. Oh, I see what happened back there. The 10 got into the side of the 9 machine. Sent him around. Next thing you know, boom, them guys was all over the place. Wow.
A caution caused a caution after one had already developed, trying to get checked up and organized there. Just one of those racing deals. We got a lot of cars with damage here after a single car spin.
Yeah. Go back here and look. Guy L. Brooks involved. EJ O'Rourke, Jason Berriman. Started with EJ going down low. But then from that point on, it was just chaotic. Which again here, Richard Waverly involved. And we got a car on its lid. That's the 72 machine.
I think the 41 was trying to avoid the 30 machine of Brian Macklin. We mentioned him getting up into the wall. EJ O'Rourke took it to the bottom. It wasn't getting down below that white dash line that gave him issues. It was getting back above it. The rear end snapped around on him. He went around for a ride. Caution came out, and just another wreck happened right behind.
Yeah, and it looks like the 8 car went down low to avoid and came back up. Did not have, thought he was clear. The 10 was there. They got together, and from that moment on, it was just chaos because it threw him right up in the track. That was actually Randy Yoakum there. Yeah, Randy Yoakum in the 8 was down low. Then just the 10 clipped him, and the 72 went for a ride there. Let's see what that is, actually. 2 machine of Cody. Cody LeBar is his last name, right? Go ride with him here for a second. Man, he took a ride. Watch him, nowhere to go. Kind of flips up on his lid. Done for the night. But that's just the product of this track. There's nowhere to go. You just saw it right there. I mean, it is a narrow style track. There's not a lot of room, especially on the front and the back stretch. The turns, they got a little bit of apron there, but you talking about the front and the front stretch, back stretch, not a lot between the walls there. So an accident like that kind of just, I don't know, nowhere to go.
That's exactly it, because you don't want to go below that dashed white line if you're a driver, and sometimes you have to. But when you're out there driving, you're thinking of this track as a two-lane track, and you've got to stay in those 2 lanes, because going down below that dashed white line, you're setting yourself up just to spin out. It's so uncontrollable.
Yeah, so we saw right there, E.J. O'Rourke, like I say, he lost it. You mentioned it there before. Kind of got down there on that below the white lines going to the turn. Tried to just hang on to it. Car came out from under him very slick early on. Tires, kind of still cold, trying to get up the temperature. Slipped on him, but then the 8 tried to avoid it, went down low, and thought he might have been a little clear there, and the 10 and them got together, and from that point on, it was just chaos ensued, and nothing no other drivers could do. Big one here early.
Hopefully that's the only big wreck of this race. Maybe they'll go green all the way to the end here, but at a track this treacherous, I just don't know. It's hard. But the cars are getting doubled up. They're going to go back to green here on lap 6. They'll take the green flag.
Absolutely, as we're lining them back up here side by side. We're getting set here to go back green, like you said. Lights off on the pace car. Going back racing here tonight. Nemesis Lab, K&N Series. Season coming to a close. We only got about 4 or 5 more races after tonight. So we're getting down there to crown a champion, and then we'll kick off the kick-ass beef jerky truck series here at the Sim500. That'll be exciting stuff. As the Trans Service Cup Series kicked off this past Monday, folks, go check that out. We ran Daytona. That was a wild one there to kick off the 2020 season. But the Trans Service Cup, tonight, here we go. Pace cars in. Man up front, Josh Parker. He's led most of it here tonight. The green flag flies. He's going to lead this one.
He chose the outside this time, and he got just an absolutely incredible jump over the 42. I think everyone was sort of in the mood to get single file. You don't need to do anything crazy here. You've got over 120 laps still to get to the front.
And some guys, like you said, right there, and you can already see it, man. Steve Goschalk in front there. Scott Simley just, already wiggling around this track, and it looks like maybe he's just going, I don't know about this place. You mentioned it earlier. It's either a place you like or a place you don't, and some guys aren't. Right now, Josh Parker's loving it.
I've talked to a lot of iRacers. I don't think I've ever heard anyone of them say to him, oh, what do you think about Darlington? I don't think anyone ever just goes, it's okay. Everyone has an opinion. It's either, I love that place, it's great, or they tell you to leave, They don't want to hear any word of it.
Yeah.
Oh, cars in the wall. Looks like, is that the 4 back there? No caution. They keep it straight.
One was it? I mean, you're going to see cars throughout the whole entire field here, banging off the wall. And obviously, that's the Darlington stripe aspect of this track here. Got a lot of room. That is another thing, though. They do have a lot of room. They do have some runoff here. It just, unfortunately, though, if you get down there under speed, we see what happened like earlier on with E.J. O'Rourke. That car can just come out from under you. But after a while, you might be able to hold on to it.
Yeah, what happened earlier is Kyle Brooks, he got a little bit loose, got up into the wall. Patrick Colby had nowhere to go and ran into the back one. Heavy damage to the rear end of that car, the 71. I don't think that's going to have a major impact on how that car drives, but that could lead to engine damage for the car behind him, the 47.
Well, Gael got caught up in that wreck there just a little bit ago, so we'll have to see what happens here. As you see him watching back here, Patrick Colby there, Sean Castro, Jason Barham. All those guys right there, single file. See the 47 of Patrick. He's got some front nose damage. It looks like on the inside here comes, that should be Bobby Wetzel right there. He was peaking for the moment, couldn't make that pass. Again, you said it's hard to pass here.
You're absolutely right, and that was going to lead right into my next point. Patience is a virtue. It doesn't look like that message got through to Josh Parker as he is pulling away from the field. He's pulling about 2/10 a lap. He's got a second lead over the 42 of David Comstock, who's got a 0.3 second lead over Tommy Ryan. So he's got 1 second back, the leader Josh Parker does, over second place. He's in a hurry to get around this place 125 times first.
Absolutely, and right now he's looking very, very well out front.
Tommy Ryan is in the wall. And they are all going down to a point. He just got stuck on the wall there. Everyone keeps it straight, so a great job driving by everyone. Tommy Ryan loses 4 spots. He's back to 7th now after getting into the wall.
Well, we got Cody coming on the track here. He's off the pace down low there. Watching what happened to him. He's back on pit road. But, yeah, you're right. Just a lot of these guys, man, throughout this race trying to keep up with all what's going on. I mean, we're going to see guys just ricocheting right out the back end of the walls here. Might not throw some cautions, but definitely some guys throughout this whole entire field are going to have their hands full.
Now that pressure from Tommy Ryan is off the 42 of David Comstock, he's able to go out and hit his marks. He's gained a 10th in that last lap on the leader, Josh Parker, 0.9 seconds to the front.
Yeah, riding along here with Tommy Ryan.
Caution is out.
What happened here? EJ O'Rourke again. Man, not the night that he won.
Certainly is not. Looks like the 00 in front of him got in the wall and then came down right into EJ O'Rourke.
Oh.
Nothing he could have done there.
All the replay right there, folks. Man, wow. EJ early on in this race. Early on there, he got involved. Yeah, the 00 just ricocheted off the wall. EJ, no place to go. Just one of them racing deals.
You're absolutely right, and there's nothing that 00 could have done. Once you're on that wall, you have to just pull that wheel to the left to try and get off of it. With these cars, they get glued to the wall, it feels like. So when he came off, it took the car down the track right into EJ O'Rourke, unfortunately. Just the wrong place at the wrong time for him.
I think after tonight, these guys are probably going to go, man, this is the demolition derby of the tracks here we've got on the schedule.
Yeah, definitely. And I know there's a figure 8 track in iRacing that these guys don't visit, but I think this place might have more wrecked cars to its name.
Yeah, and it's kind of just like what you'd see at a Bristol or Martinsville or whatnot. I mean, this is a pretty, standard short style track here, but it's different. It's a tough place. I mean, you call it too tough to tame. That's one thing there, but it is a tough place here to run, and it's just unique, like we said before. Both turns are different from end to end of the track. You can't enter them the same. You can't come off of them the same, and you're running that high lane of the wall. If you don't like running up against a wall, you're going to have trouble all night long.
You're absolutely right. And the difference between turns 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, you carry a lot of speed through 1 and 2. You can dive the car in there, drive it hard, and let the car carry itself to the wall. So it's like you're diamonding the turn, where you enter low, you drift up, and you exit low again and take it to the wall on the backstretch. Turn 3 and 4 is very different. It's so easy to overdrive those turns, and that's where you see guys primarily getting up into the wall. EJ O'Rourke here is going to have to stay out, try and get his lap back if he wants a chance here. Unfortunately, he's just, he's down a lap. He's going to lose that opportunity to pit now, so he's going to take the wave around, not get fresh tires like everyone else, but he will remain on the lead lap.
Absolutely. So under caution here for the second time tonight, lap 16 here at Darlington for the Nemesis Lab K&N Series presented by the Sim500. EJ O'Rourke stayed out that time. Looks like he's going to try to maybe get one of the laps back here or wave around. Josh Parker came out the top side there out of pit road. Steve Goschalk up front. David Comstock there. Now, like Steve took 2 tires. He's going to try a gamble. Is that a good pay? You think that's a good gamble?
I think with only 15, 16 laps on the tires, with a couple of those, probably 5 laps under caution, I think that is a good gamble. However, we made a mistake. I made a mistake here. I said EJ O'Rourke was going to stay out and get his lap back. He was never a lap down. I thought he got passed by the pace car. He's now our leader here. So that is a bold strategy to stay out on old tires. But frankly, if he's up there in points like he is, you got to stay out. And you've got to just try something. You can run, you might lose 4 or 5 spots, but it's better than starting at the back because it's so hard to make passes here.
And you're right, and a lot of times I talk about moves and whatnot. Sometimes track position pays dividends here. We'll just have to see. You're right with the points like it is and the night that he's having and the feel of this racetrack. Maybe he's going off of me. There'll be another caution here soon, 10 or 15 laps or whatnot. So he's probably trying to play the caution game, but Josh Parker's fast. We'll just have to see what happens here and getting set to go back green.
Josh Parker definitely is the fastest car out here. We saw David Comstock moving quickly through the field as well. I think that EJ O'Rourke is going to do the polite chivalrous thing, which is take the inside here. The outside line has the advantage, so Josh Parker will probably go by him here. EJ O'Rourke is saying, I'm not going to get in the way. You guys are clearly faster. I just want to settle into my groove here towards the front and just hold my own, but I'm not going to fight you guys. You guys are obviously faster.
Well, probably the front side here, the pack is the safest place to be because we've already seen it all night long, kind of middle in the back there, and EJ's had his hands full all night long. But pace cars in, here we go. And then, obviously, EJ being the leader, he's going to get the advantage to take off, and he does. Green flag flies, he gets a good jump.
Well, you can throw whatever I said out the window. I thought he was choosing the inside to give the lead to Josh Parker as a nice benefit, but maybe not. He jumps out, gets to the lead here. On old tires, though, and a slower car that's damaged, I don't know how well he's going to stay out there. Josh Parker's already at the bumper.
And here's the thing, Josh Parker, though, Parker's going to have to be cautious going around him there. You already see EJ riding here with Parker and watch him. You can see EJ coming out of the turns. He's a little wiggly right there. And true, Josh is definitely faster than him. But again, we mentioned it, very hard place to pass. He's going to have to almost set that pass up.
He is. He's going to have to try and get to his inside on the backstretch here, which he does. He forces his way down there. Looked like EJ didn't want to give it to him. But now this is the hard part, passing in 3 and 4, because the car is going to drift up, and you really can't do much. They're side by side coming off 4, and advantage Josh Parker as the 42 follows him down below.
Man, I tell you what, that was just all tires right there. I mean, a lot of skill involved too, but you got to trust that machine that it was going to stay hooked like Josh did. And that was just tires that was able to allow him to keep that car down there, but almost close contact. You just see how narrow this place is when they go for a pass. Right now, though, Nick Cohan, the man on a move here with the Disney Motorsports machine. Steve Goschalk there, but EJ's hanging on the third. David Comstock up the second.
Nicholas Cohan in the 21 is gaining ground on that 41. He's known for making some big, bold moves, and I think we're going to see that again here to try and get around this 41 once he gets to him. But Steve Gottschalk holding well off there in 5th place. Mike Montesi having a great night here running 6th. Timothy Johnson, a name we don't see towards the front all too often, having a great night in 7th. We'd love to see that.
Absolutely. Everybody's single file right now, and that's kind of what they want. Settle in here and see what we got, except for Nick. He's going to go around EJ and take that spot right there. But EJ right now, with what he did, like you said, he's maintaining. He's going to come up here, ride for just a little bit, and see what he's got. But everybody pretty much throughout the whole entire field. We go through this field, and there's our Peeps machine out there sitting in 17th place.
You're exactly right that EJ is doing exactly what he needs to do. He needs a good points night. He needs to play it safe. He's got a damaged car, and he's on older tires right now. But all he has to do is just stay towards the front. If someone's faster, maybe be nice, let him go, not fight them too hard, but just hold maybe the top 5, and you'll be fine. Wait for a caution, get your tires, get back on cycle, fix some damage, and get back out there and race.
Got some beat up cars out here as we look to the past, and whoa, we got a big crash. Back here, that's going to involve Mike Kelly. Back on the replay and see what happened. It was a huge one here. Mike Kelly just got in the back end. And from that point on, the Peeps machine involved, but the 9 involved. It was a pile up from that point on right there. Go back and watch it again on a different, hear from Mark Arthur. See what he saw. Just no place to go. It happened right in front of him. Tried to whoa up, but nothing he could do. Wow.
Yeah, it looked like 16. The 2-car thought he'd have a little bit more room. The 16 didn't think the 2-car was going to send it in there like he did. Both guys just assuming things about the other, kind of looks like. And just a light touch by the 2-car to the 16. And when those 2 lanes of racing are blocked, gosh, you're in trouble. Everyone just sort of piles in.
And we said it before, when you're in the middle of the track right there, no place to go. And this is not really a self-cleaning track. We talk about that a lot. So the cars don't go, but man, you can see right there, hard impact. I mean, these guys, there's nowhere to go. You got cars up top, the middle, and just all over the place.
Unfortunately, our Peeps machine is in there. Looks like heavy damage to the back end. I don't know how many chicks survived that one, but the
Yeah,
back,
yeah.
the
We got some
right
mashed
rear,
up
left
with all that
rear.
one.
Yeah, the left and right rear seem to have taken some damage. Doesn't look like there were any on the hood, or if they were, they have now been shot into the engine and out the exhaust. Unfortunately, looks like a lot of damage to that piece machine here.
Yeah, hopefully they'll get them all fixed up before Easter time. So they got a little bit of time to get it worked on here. But like we have got a shake-up, or some of those cars in the front there are actually wave around machines, because I'm looking. Josh Parker chose back in 11th place. Obviously, my timing will get caught up here in a few, so we'll see how that shakes out.
Looks like the 45 and the 08 are our current leaders in first and second. Josh Parker is in third. EJ O'Rourke, it is now updated. Tommy Ryan, Mike Montesi are now up towards the front. Oh my goodness. Timing and scoring is updating. Josh Parker is all the way back to sixth now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So there's Thomas O'Leary right now, Anthony DeBarro, Tommy Ryan, Mike Montesi, Timothy Johnson there, and Josh Parker. So, a little mix up there. Everybody going down on pit road and so forth and so on, and obviously the wreck involved here. We called it. This place, I guess it's just treacherous. That's all it is to it. This place is a tough place to race at, and it's pretty much one of these places where attrition, I think, is going to play a huge factor.
You're absolutely right. We see EJ O'Rourke is all the way back to 20th now. Looks like he stayed on pit road, got some damage fixed. It's good to have an undamaged car here, but it doesn't make that much of a difference here at Darlington. I figured his strategy would be to stay out, stay near the front, but it looks like he's thrown that away. He's all the way back to 20th now. Still on the lead lap, but further back.
Yeah, and I think, he learned something there, that he probably could stay out later on and help him maybe end up getting a good finish out of this thing. So maybe learned a little bit there. And again, definitely playing that caution card, I think, a little bit. I hate to say it, I don't think we're done with them. After a while, these guys will get it settled in. But this place is just so tough. I mean, I don't care who you are. The pros out here, they have a hard time here at Darlington. So this is just a tough track to get around.
You are absolutely right. It's just so difficult, and it's so easy to get up into that wall. The biggest problem is you can come off the corner and think, all right, I'm good. I had a good corner exit. I'm not going to hit the wall. And the next thing you know, you hear a big boom, and you're glued to the wall, and you're losing 40 miles an hour.
And the guy behind you is running sometimes so close to you. If you get hooked on that wall and slow up, there's nothing he can do. And you usually end up boom right in the back end of you, and that just shoots you around. And from there, we've seen it all night long. Just a pile up, traffic jam. So pace cars in. Here we go. Getting set to go back green flag here tonight. Thomas O'Leary out front. Anthony DeBarro there. Now, out there, as you see Thomas drop the hammer, we're back green.
A great jump for the inside line. The outside line is kind of stalled, and that's bad news for Josh Parker, as he's going to go low and have to check up there when he's going around the 7 car. It's treacherous here. It's hard to make passes, and that 7 car is a little bit off pace. He's been checking out, trying to keep that car off the wall. They're going to be 2 by 2 going into turn 3 here with the 42
And here's
car.
the thing, too, Jeff, is, it's you've got to make those aggressive moves early. It looks like Mark Cretan crashed back in the back, and we're under caution. I can see what happened to Mark, but you got to make those passes early. And it looks like him and the Peaks machine just got together in the back, and 77 is around. Nobody else involved in that one, though. They're just far wrecked. But back to what I was saying there real quick. On these starts, you've got to make those aggressive moves, because it is so hard to pass here. After a while, you're going to get single file, and the tires are going to kind of just level out.
You're right. You got to make these big, bold moves, and it usually works. Sometimes it doesn't, though, and when it doesn't work, man, we saw it earlier, it can lead to some big ramifications where lots of cars get involved. We saw that, in the last wreck, the 2-car Mike Kelly just went low on the 16. The 16 wasn't expecting it, moved down a little bit, and caused a wreck that took out a good number of cars just because of one small mistake.
We got Dizzy Motorsports' own Anthony Navarro out there. I know he knows how to get around here. Tommy Ryan's right behind him. Timothy Johnson's there in third. Josh Parker moved it up to fourth. He's got David Comstock hooked to his back bumper. Those two have just kind of stayed nose to tail, relatively clean out here right now. They just want to get back up front, get out of the danger zone is what I'm going to say, because I think anytime you're in the pack back there and we know they got a fast machine, it's just tough being that fast as a driver and trying to get around these cars.
Yes, sometimes it's just one of those tracks. I know I've said it before, but it's just one of those tracks where a small mistake compounds and so many other cars get involved. But a single car spin there, and these times like this, Josh Parker is up 2 positions. He's up to 4th. He's going to be second on the outside line. So he could make it 3 wide if he's absolutely out of his mind, I think. But I would expect him to try and get that outside line rolling. We know Tommy Ryan is quick wherever he goes. He had a good time in practice at 28.650, so he knows how to get around this track. It's just going to be, does it fall into place? Does he get a good run on the outside and pull Josh Parker with him, in which case he can go around and try and pass him?
Well, the good news is E.J. O'Rourke has moved up to 14th. He's made some headway.
There he goes. That's exactly what he needs, is just little gains each time, and all these cautions coming out ultimately helps him because he can gain a couple spots on each restart. So if he gets, the more restarts there are, the more opportunities for these quick passes like we were just talking about. He could work his way back up in the field. We saw with the damaged car and on old tires, he was holding his own in the top 5. So over a long run, he could have something for these fast guys here. We haven't seen how these cars are working over a longer run, more than 15 laps or so at a time. But if we see that, E.J. O'Rourke could be someone to watch for taking care of his stuff.
And you talked about the cautions right there, too, coming out. With those, that does benefit him, like you said. Also, it puts him on the same pit strategies with a lot of these other guys, too. So not only is it benefiting him caution-wise to get up through the field, it's benefiting him, to get in there and get fresh tires and fuel and stay on the same cycle with everyone else and not have to be off because, remember before he was off cycle to try to get up front. Now he's on cycle with everybody else.
And that's going to help him in the end, because if he's running 5th place on old tires, just imagine what he can do on new tires. If he's able to save his equipment a little bit better than everyone else, maybe he's got, just a little bit fresher after a 30, 40, 50 lap run, that's a huge advantage. It doesn't sound like much, but having even that small of an advantage is huge. Also, I want to point out Timothy Johnson from 19th to 3rd, and Samuel Baumgarten from 33rd all the way up to 9th. Richard Swabley having a great night, 34th to 13th. We're seeing a lot of big movers. It's not because they're really making passes on track. We've noticed how tough it is here, but just pit strategy, staying out when you need to, hitting when you need to, and working your way through those cautions and keeping the cars clean. But that is some big movement here, more than I thought we would see here at Darlington.
And you're right, and I think a lot of guys are seeing that with the cautions like this is happening tonight, they're definitely going to make their moves through a pit strategy, maybe 2 tire stops, because we've seen a lot of guys do that, and it's really not hurt them too bad. Now, again, we haven't had maybe a 40, 50 lap green flag run to see how those 2 tires will work out, but in the short run, it's done paid dividends. As the pace car's in, Anthony Navarro is going to waste no time. Green flag flies, we're racing.
That inside line again gets a great run. What is Josh Parker going to do here? He's going to stay in line behind the 99. 99's got a bit of rear end damage. I don't think that's going to impact him too bad. But they are all single file drawn out now. That was awful quick that they get single file. That's not what Josh Parker wants to see. If those guys in front of him are running too wide, he's going to be able to get up to him quicker and maybe make a run on someone. But single file, it's a lot more difficult.
Absolutely, single file throughout the field. I'm looking back here. Scott Simley, E.J. O'Rourke. E.J.'s up to 13th spot. Maybe trying to pick them off one by one. You got to go a little further back before you get side-by-side racing happening back here. These guys trying to see what they can do. Maybe try to get single file. You see when they go into that turn, that car just shoots straight up to track, right to the wall. That's just kind of how this place works.
Patience is wearing thin. We saw 3 wide for a second as Nick Cohan takes it 2 wide with the 7 car. Josh Parker is now on the outside of Tommy Ryan. Tommy Ryan tried to get a run on that 27 car. It just didn't work out. Anthony DeBarro able to hold the position. Josh Parker able to get around in third. We have a caution out on track.
Yeah, it looks like it actually started back here with Mark Cretan, who actually was back here by himself, just bounced off the wall, and then from there collected Shane Ewing. Shane Ewing nowhere to go. Well, watch what happened here to Shane. Oh no, that was another wreck. My bad. So we had two of them on track. You see right here, Shane Ewing was on the front stretch here, folks. Let's see, Shane, 52 and 32 just got together. Actually, the 8 machine right there got into it, and Shane was kind of a victim of circumstance right there.
Sad to see. I know Shane is he's got his family behind him watching. He's always a lot of fun to race. He's somehow always manages to work his way up through the field. He's able to make passes and do a great job all around, really, gaining positions when it seems like other people are sort of stalled out.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, folks, I mean, we watched the Daytona this past week with pretty much a lot of the same drivers here. And if you watch that race, the Daytona race that we just saw with the Trans-Service Cup Series this past Monday, memory serves me correctly, I think we had 3 cautions the whole entire time at 120 laps. So it went very, very well for a plate track race, to say the least there. Tonight, this track is just way different. I mean, we have pretty much drove the issue into the ground because what they call it, too tough to tame. You know, the lady in black here, it is. It's Darlington. It's a tough place, and I don't care who you are, what kind of skill you got. It's just a place that can step out here and bite you.
It's just so, you know, we've sort of, like you said, we're beating a dead horse at this point, but it's such a tough track to run because not only is it narrow, not only do you have to be very precise in your movements, not only is it hard to pass, but if you even touch that wall and you overdrive it, even the tiniest bit, in these cars especially, you're just adding another layer of difficulty onto it. You just get sucked into the wall, you're stuck there, and we've seen that cause a lot of issues for drivers. And there's just nothing you can do once you're on that wall. And here's the thing, when you come off the wall after you've been stuck to it, it just shoots the car down the track, and there's nothing you can do. You gotta hope there's no one to your inside.
And we've seen that a couple times tonight, just like right there with Mark Cretan. Another car came down low, nowhere to go. It just, you know, he got caught up on the wall, bounced off, came down, and unfortunately another car there. Same thing happened there with Shane Ewing and them. So all night long, it's just been one thing after another here. A lot of guys definitely getting the Darlington stripe here, Darlington, South Carolina, for the Sim500 Nemesis Laugh K&N Series. And the reason I say it like I did a minute ago is because I take nothing away from these guys here at the Sim500. They've done an outstanding job. I don't want, you know, if you're new out there watching or whatnot, I don't want you to say, man, these guys out here can't race. Well, no, it's a product of the track. You know, I have done many of other, well, even in the real world, this place is tough for them. So it's just one of these tracks. We said before, and you mentioned it. You either like it or you don't.
Yeah, nobody has a so-so opinion on this place. They either love it or they hate it. I imagine E.J. O'Rourke might not be too upset right now, though. He's getting up closer to the front each and every time. It's that's pretty impressive. He's making a lot more passes than anyone else out here. That's for darn sure.
Paying off for him, ain't it?
Absolutely is.
Yeah, so he's up to 11th right there. And I guess the one word that would come to mind here, Jeff, would be kind of like, you know, if you heard somebody say, well, what's the thing of the track?
Yeah, it's you know, no, it's okay. It's not the best. It's not the worst. But nobody feels that way. Everyone is just, oh man, let's go there. Let's do every race there. And they just say, if you even mention the word Darlington around me, I'm running you over. That's the point of that,
yeah,
you know?
yeah. And I agree with you. And so, yeah, it's one of them, you know, feel good or not stop tracks. But we're getting set to go back green flag here. And new leader out front, Timothy Johnson right there, along with Anthony DeBarro and David Comstock. That's just not mixed up. Looks like starting right there beside of Josh Parker. So we're about to see what happens here on the restart as he coming out of turn here, getting set to go back green.
We can expect that inside line to take off like it has been these past couple times. Josh Parker, Anthony DeBarro is starting on the front row. Josh Parker second in line on the inside. And of course, now that he's down there, the outside line takes off. He just can't catch a break.
No, he can't. It looks like Josh did not get up to speed like he wanted to there, and that made him fall all the way back to fourth spot, as we see. But everybody taking off.
Be a wreck behind.
Yep. Well, I'm gonna tell you what. I don't know right there. They actually saved the car. Wow. That could have been disastrous.
I was fully convinced. Mike Kelly's below the white line. He managed to keep it straight. Oh my goodness, we've got a whole field full of Richard Petty's here. Everyone managed to keep control of their car. That is amazing.
Yeah, it was. Saw the car get up there, up into the wall, and he slammed and almost could have came back down in front of the whole field there and started a big one. But man, was able to hang on to it. That's just restarts here at Darlington for you.
I guess so. You don't see anything like it anywhere else. That was absolutely incredible driving all around. Just some great work. I say that a lot in this league. Just some amazing driving, and it always blows me away. As we see Josh Parker, it looks like he's going to try and set up a move here, but he has nowhere to go. There's no way he's going to be able to pass two cars in one run, so he's got to go with the 42 around the 27 and hope that David Comstock can make a move.
Just watching right here, we're riding along with Josh Parker and watching David Comstock make that pass. You can see the rear end of those cars kind of dancing out a little bit, just how unstable they are. And now Josh is going to take it to the high side, but he's probably not going to have anywhere to go as he's going to run up on the back end of Anthony.
You're exactly right, but he made one of the two passes he needs to make, and then he can start running down this leader. We're giving him a lot of attention tonight. He's just so quick. Sounds like there's a wreck, but there it is.
Yep. On the track, Patrick Colby. I hate to see that, but let's go back and see what happened to Patrick. Oh, him and looks like the 77 that Patrick went for a ride. Holy cow.
Yeah, that was Thomas O'Leary that he got hit by, and oh no, Doug
He
Roth
went flight.
involved. Yeah,
He
wow,
took flight
cars
right
up
on
in
that
the
one,
air.
didn't he?
That was something else. You don't see cars getting airborne at Darlington too much, so I don't know. Maybe that's why the K&N cars are the Arkham and RZ series, brought to you by this, that, and the other company. Maybe that's why they don't get up here.
I'm gonna tell you what, that car just bounced up in the air, came back down. But man, unfortunately, Patrick's night probably done after that hit right there. That was a pretty hard hit, a lot of damage. Yeah, that car's smoking out there bad, so the motor is definitely hurt. Pretty much say his night is done, unfortunately. Everybody on pit road, though. Here we go.
Everybody's down here on pit road. I want to see if EJ O'Rourke is going to repair any damage, or maybe, he's got two options, really. He takes 4 tires and repairs as much damage as he can, and he comes out towards the tail end of the lead lap and starts towards the back. Or he takes 2 tires here, gains the track position he needs, and hopes for another quick caution. Then he's back on cycle with everyone else and can take 4 tires.
4 tires and
I
fuel.
don't know.
Didn't look like he repaired anything, unless he repaired while he was taking the tires, obviously. But it looks like, I know he took the 4 tires and fuel, so.
There he goes. Same place out as he came in. Not gonna pass the 7 car there for EJ O'Rourke.
It does get him up in the 17th right now is what I'm showing him. Might change here when they cross the line, but you're right, though. It's got him on the same cycle. It's trying, got caught up earlier on here in a wreck. I'll tell you what, caution here tonight, and I know a lot of people may be like, well, are we racing or are we just pacing? Well, again, product of Darlington here, tough track, too tough to tame tonight. And these guys, man, are just trying to see what they can do out here, get around this place. And I know Josh Parker would love to get back out front because with all the restarts, it's kind of a gamble here, Jeff. Every time that you start or restart like he is, takes a chance of getting caught up in a wreck.
You're exactly right. Not only is there a chance he gets caught up in a wreck, but it's so hard to pass here. He's all the way back now in 8th place. That's hard. That is hard to pass 7 cars here because the guys out front are going to be pulling away, and you've got to be real quick if you're going to get up to them and pass them, and hope that you don't get wrecked. You have to hit all your marks, be the fastest car on track, and not get involved in someone else's wreck. That's a tall order.
You've only got one car up there, Anthony, who took 2 tires. The rest of them look like they 4 or might not have pitted at all. We'll just have to double check on some of that stuff here when it cycles around. But you're right, if it sticks like it is right now, Josh is going to be back in 8th. This is where he's going to have to be patient because he can get in trouble very, very quickly. Even David Comstock, who has been very fast all night long. And don't count out Nick Cohan. He's been right there too. Got that number 21 machine out there. So he's been up front all night long. Definitely can't count out Anthony Navarro, Tommy Ryan. They've been there, but Josh is going to have to be very patient. Looks like that is where he's going to start at. So I don't know. This is where you kind of grit your teeth a little bit.
Yeah, if I'm in the 3rd row on back, I don't know if I'm gritting my teeth or or doing whatever else.
Doing fingernails,
I'm probably
at least.
sweating bullets at that point. I'm doing a lot of things. I'm probably swearing. I'm probably getting nervous. But it's a tall order to try and keep your composure here and be patient and work your way up to the field. I know personally, I'm a very aggressive driver. I'm very impatient, and it works out well when I win, and it stinks when I don't. So if Josh Parker is anything like me and he's all the way back there, and if I'm him and I know I'm the fastest car out here, that's tough and it's frustrating because you're doing the right thing. You're taking the 4 tires. You're playing it smart, but then you've got guys gambling ahead of you, and they've got every right to do it, and I'm sure it's going to work out for them. But you're just sitting there going, what else can I do that's better?
Absolutely. We'll pace cars in. Let's see how this thing plays out. Here's the green flag. It's about to fly. We're back racing here at Darlington.
Well, the inside line got a jump, and I think it was only because Josh Parker was out there on the outside. Whichever line he is in is the one that will not move. We have a checkup on the outside. Josh Parker almost gets back into the back of the 28 car, looks like. Oh, boy, he is side by side with him. We have a caution.
Oh, yes, we do. This looks like Don Runkle Jr. is going to be the man involved in this one. Let's see. The double O got up into the wall, tried to hold it up there, and then got clipped by another car. Fortunately for him, single car incident, but he tried to keep that thing up against the wall and keep it out of one, but it just kept ricocheting right off the wall, though.
Yeah, we've beat the horse dead. We've used black magic to bring it back to life, and have now beat it to death again. But when these cars hit the wall, they are stuck there, and when they come off, they just want to go flying to the inside wall, get stuck down there. I think if there weren't any cautions here, you would see guys that get stuck to the outside wall, go flying off, go to the inside wall, go flying off that back to the outside wall, back and forth like a game of ping pong. But it's just so difficult to control those cars once they come off the wall. Or once they hit the wall, they're stuck there, and once they come off, they're just gone.
And Josh was not able to really gain much there as he kind of was stuck. And David Comstock, they had to check up for a lot of cars. That's the danger of being back there where they are. We mentioned it before, so we'll have to see on this restart. And you're playing the odds every time we have a restart from where they're sitting at. But Jason Barham, man out front right now, is going to lead them off here to the line. Richard Beasley going to be there in second. Nick Silver up front. Anthony Navarro fourth. Tommy Ryan rounds the top 5. Under caution here, folks. And probably what I'm going to say, if I guess on what should happen here, eventually attrition will play in. And, they'll get settled in. Hopefully. How's that?
That's one way to look at it. I think there's plenty of ways to skin a cat, but there's only one way to win at Darlington. That's to be the first one to complete 125 laps here. No matter how you cut the cake, though, you've got to be the first one to get there to the end. So it's a big question. Do you gamble? Do you take 2 tires? What's more important? A solid car underneath you with good tires, or the track position? And frankly, tonight, I still can't answer that question 50 laps in.
Yeah, and I can't either. Now, I will ask you this here, though. At the rate of the race is going, and if it keeps with the pace like we are, And I gotta see eventually that it just kind of settled down, because I've seen races like this early on, a lot of caution, settle down kind of in the middle, then maybe the end some. But with the pace it's going right now, as a driver, what would you do in this? Would you keep the gambling going on with the 2 tires trying to stay the track position? Would you play that 4 tire and hopefully it goes for a long green flag run?
I would, if it were me personally out there, I would take the gamble. I would stop taking fuel right about now because I think they might have enough to make it to the end, and they've got plenty of cautions. I would just try and keep a little less fuel in the tank. That loosens the car up a little bit. And also take 2 tires, or I'm sorry, taking less fuel will tighten the car up a little bit so that when you take 2 tires, it loosens it. It sort of kind of counteracts each other. So you get the time bonus of, you know, taking only 2 tires. You're adding less fuel. It's just quicker pit stops. That gives you the position you need. It keeps the car relatively stable underneath you. But I don't know how many guys are thinking that in depth, and it's a lot easier to sit back up here and analyze when we're not down there racing and focusing and trying to not, you know, hit anyone else and stay out of trouble and everything. It's easy to sit back here and analyze. So down there, if I'm in the heat of the moment, I would probably take 2 tires maybe every 3rd stop. Maybe I would gamble a little bit just to be sure I have the right tires underneath me and can get this done. And as soon as I know I'm good on fuel, that's when I stop taking any more.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm with you on that one there. That we'll just have to see how this thing plays off with these drivers here. But going to get set here to get back green flag. Is it going to double file them back up here? See what happens. See if Jason Barham's able to hold on to that top spot this time.
Well, we see Josh Parker on the inside, which means that the outside line is going to take off if the pattern remains true. I'm interested to see if my theory holds correct here, that any line that Josh Parker, the 23 car, is in is the lane that will not move. So the outside line, keep an eye on them to take off. And David Comstock, he's been keeping pace with Josh Parker. We've been talking a lot about the 23, not really too much about the 42, and the 42 has been keeping pace with him the entire night. If he's in front of him, he's going to be awful difficult to pass for that 23 car. That's going to be something to keep an eye on as the pace car comes off and they're getting ready to take the green flag.
Absolutely. Pace car's in. Here we go. Getting set to go back green. Green flag. We're back racing at Darlington.
Well, my theory is not true. The outside line gets checked up. That 15 just can't get going. Looks like he's got some damage there. 2 by 2 by 2 by 2 going into turns 1 and 2. They are now all through the field trying to get spread out. EJ O'Rourke is moving quickly. Going to dive to the inside here. Maybe not going to have a run going into turn 3. Josh Parker works his way around the 42 car, and he's on the hunt for more as he's on the back bumper of Tommy Ryan.
Yeah, Josh is definitely wanting to get up there very fast. Like he wants to get through this field the best he possibly can. He's up to the 6th place right now, but still Jason Barham out front, Anthony DeBarro right there. As those guys are kind of just moving away from the field a little bit. 27 and the number looks like 83 out front.
The 83 and the 27 are both quick machines. Tommy Ryan, though, he's a tough guy to pass, and Josh Parker is going to witness that for himself as he just can't seem to get around. He gets up to the bumper, but he can't get a run going on him. Same thing with the 42. It's just going to be a hard race here. That 42, his only chance of really making passes here is to follow that 23 and take advantage of the passes he's making. Maybe wait, get up to the lead, get up to 2nd place, and then make a run and fight Anthony one-on-one. Josh Parker one-on-one.
Nick Silver's the one trying to make some moves right here. He's back in 3rd place. He's running down Anthony DeBarro right now. Got Timothy Johnson right there along with him. Tommy Ryan, if we get a long green flag run, I got a feeling you're going to start seeing some guys like Josh and David. Eventually, we'll start moving up. Brian Macklin cracked the top 10, along with Nick Cohan there. And Chad Coleman rounding out the top 10 so far. Matt LaCrosse outside looking in there. Samuel, say that last name.
Baumgarten, I believe it is. 57, Samuel Baumgarten. And if we are absolutely butchering that, we sincerely apologize.
Yeah, me too. I apologize on that one. EJ O'Rourke up there at 13. Been watching him all night long. Steve Goschalk, Mike Matesi, just kind of look through the field here. It's like so far everybody's maybe settling down just a little bit. Kind of single file.
You know, sometimes people say, you know, they ask me what the hardest part about announcing is. They say, oh, is it talking in front of crowds? Is it always coming up with things to say? No, it's some people's last names because there are just letters thrown in there sometimes that are just absolutely wild. But for example, I do some announcing in real life. B-A-K-A-J. How would you pronounce that last name?
B-A-K-J-A?
K-A-J.
Maka?
Yeah, that was my thought. And I said Mark Bakaj every time. And then on my last night there, before I came back to college, and I'm returning this summer, but on my last night there, he came up to me, shook his hand, he said, thank you for being here this summer. You did a great job. By the way, my name's Mark Bakaj. B-A-K-A-J.
Okay.
Mark Bakaj.
Man.
So that is the most difficult part of announcing, I think. So if there's anyone out here and you're watching this and we're butchering your last names, know that, you know, we're sorry. Personally speaking, I'm an engineer. I have nothing to do with English or communication, so I just like race cars going fast.
There you go. Well, right now, a man who was fast, Josh Parker, he got all the way up to third, but then got shuffled back. You can see we got a gaggle of machines here, and it is awfully close there between them. This is where you've got a fast machine amongst a lot of cars here. He's got to be very careful making these passes.
With the exception of Josh Parker, as I am seeing it, the top six have not pitted for tires. They're off sequence and are on older tires, and they are running at the same clip as Josh Parker was towards the beginning of this race, and they're pretty much keeping pace with him, and he's on new tires. I don't know if just pacing under caution caused more fall-off than we were expecting, but Josh Parker's not having an easy time getting up to the field, and David Comstock has stalled out there in 7th place. He just can't get around anyone. This is pretty interesting, and for the guys that are thinking about maybe not taking tires in the future, this is a good sign for them.
You know, and it just also shows you just how hard it is to pass at this place. Here's what Josh Parker's having to go through to get to the field. David's now making a few moves there. He's able to get to the outside to try to run with Parker. But they're going to try to run down Anthony DeBarro up front, who Nick Silver right now has the top spot. Timothy Johnson sitting there in third. Josh back there in the 4th place spot. But, man, I tell you, right here around about the 7th, 8th place, you can see Jason Barham, who was out front there for a while. He has fallen off like a rock in water.
You are absolutely right. It's just once you get out of the groove here and cars start passing you, not only is it hard to get back in line and just figure out, you know, your line and start hitting your marks again, but it's also a big mental game where you are sitting there saying to yourself, what am I doing wrong? Why are so many people passing me? I got to get back on my rhythm. And the harder you think about that, big caution.
Yep, and that actually involved Jason Barham. And I believe he got tagged in the rear there. We were actually watching it live. Looks like the 97, I believe it's a 97 or 57 there. It just looks like Jason might have just checked up a little bit, and I mentioned it earlier, when you're that close to the car in front of you, no place to go, man, wreck.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's the case. Going into the turn, the 83 thought he was going to get tight and go up into the wall. That caused the 57 of Samuel Baumgarten to get into the back of him, which caused a chain reaction by the 45 to get into him. And the 45 was actually pushing those two cars sideways along the track for a couple minutes there. And, just sent the cars around, unfortunately.
You know, you mentioned some of those cars up front. Been on old tires. Look at this. Everybody on pit road now. You know, that paid dividends. Again, you said it. It might be something somebody later on this race might go, you know what? With about 30 or 20 laps to go, we know now that we could stay out here and run on older tires. And if those guys get marred back in traffic, like a Josh Parker back in 5th or 6th or so, he's not going to have enough time to get back up here and get to us. So guys like Anthony DeBarro and Timothy Johnson, man, that was a gamble that paid off.
You're absolutely right. It paid off well for him, and everyone pretty much takes 4 tires. I'm surprised. If I'm Josh Parker, David Comstock, you know, one of these guys, Nicholas Cohan, that's running towards the front but just can't seem to make passes, take 2 tires now. You've seen it work. You've seen them keeping pace or outrunning you when you've been dominant all night. Take 2 tires, get the track position, and see what you can do. That's just me. Maybe these guys have a good plan in the back of their head. And, we're not seeing it up here. That is entirely possible. But, man, if I were the 23, the 42, the 21, I would have taken 2 tires there and worked my way up.
It's like the only one up front there took 2 tires this time around was Mike Kelly. He's going to actually get in the top 10 out of it right there. But going to put Anthony out front. Timothy's going to be up in second. Josh Parker's going to be up in third, so he's a little closer this time around. Nick Silver's there. But for guys like Nick Silver, Josh's going to probably go back to fourth. But either way, Nick Silver, Tommy Ryan, the guys like you just said, who did not pit earlier on. Well, this right here, definitely it paid off for him there. Still got David Comstock. Nick Cohan up there, Brian Macklin. Like I said, Mike Kelly up front there. And Ted Coleman rounds the top 10. So, I don't know. At this point, yes, we know Josh is probably one of the fastest, if not the fastest, on the track. But, at the way this race has been going, I still can't say he's going to be the one to pull it off.
I say it every week when I'm broadcasting with you here. It's not the fastest car that wins the race. It's the first one to cross the line. Not only do you have to survive it, but you've got to be out front. You've got to be the first guy there that has the opportunity to cross the line. It's never the fastest. Well, shouldn't say never. It's not the fastest car that wins the race. It's the first one to cross the line. That is the most important thing to take away here. And we saw it at Bristol. We saw it at Daytona. All these tracks, pretty much every race, it hasn't been the fastest car this season that's won. It's been the first one to cross the line, the smartest driver out there that avoids the most wrecks, maybe smartest, maybe luckiest, whatever you want to call it. But you got to be the first one to cross the line, not necessarily the fastest. So if I'm the 27 out there, Anthony DeBarro, I'm saying I'm sitting pretty there. Timothy Johnson as well in the 28. He could win this. It's entirely possible.
I like that because, everybody always asks me, who's your favorite driver, who you think going to win, I'm pretty much like you. I always say, it's whoever finishes first.
Yeah, you know what? You're absolutely right. I remember back when I was younger, I would go to races with my dad. We'd go to a couple races a year. And anytime, no matter who won, it could have been Mark Martin, it could have been Jimmy Johnson, it could have been Kyle Busch. Whoever won the race, he goes, that's my driver. I go, Dad, you have to choose. You have to choose a driver. Well, I like the guy that wins. I go, well, that's whatever. And now that I'm older and can appreciate it, I go, yeah, you know what? That was a good race. I'm happy with it.
There you go. Absolutely. And I tell you what, it's going to be a good one. Here's pace cars in. We're going back green flag. Let's see what Anthony can do on some new tires up front along with Timothy and them as the green flag flies. We're back racing.
I'd say the happiest guy out here right now is Anthony DeBarro. He gambled, took 2 tires, and sat on them for a long time. Fully cycled around on 4 tires now. He's on the same equipment as everyone else. Now, that could be really good for the 42. He's in the wall hard. Oh, big wreck on the back, and it's going to collect a bunch.
Oh, it is. Nick Cohan is going to go flying. But Tommy Ryan.
E.J. O'Rourke is involved.
Yep. Tommy Ryan went flying off down onto the infield there. E.J. O'Rourke actually got involved way later into it. But let's, Tommy Ryan right there. The 42 went into the wall. Tommy had to avoid him, and Nick Cohan right there. And the next thing you know, Nick Cohan went flying. That car just took a sail right there. We can't go one more time here real quick to see. Oh, yeah, the car just slammed up against the wall. Tommy Ryan on the inside took Nick Cohan with him, and they just ricocheted back up the track. And when they went back up the track, all the other cars know where to go. And then you just saw Nick Cohan just take flight.
Take flight, yeah.
Yeah, you call him Air Cohan right there. that car just went flying.
Is this why we're announcers and not comedians?
That's it, no doubt. Let's watch it one more time because that car did go flying up there. Well, he is in the Kodak. I guess he can make a pretty picture right there of what that would look like. So, wow. Hard lick, man. The car ended up tumbles end over end. Oh, I hate that because Nick had a very, very fast car, and that thing tumbled so hard. You know what's funny? It tumbled right over the wall on the pit lane.
Well, it's the fastest way around sometimes, You just go over and you just clip right through the ground, and there you are in your pit box.
And then he just drives it right on off. It's smoking like a weed eater out there, though. But Wow, hard lick, hard crash here. Took out some good heavy hitters. Just like that. I mean, we've said it all night long. Anything can happen here, and it was a product of that wall again. Got stuck up there, ricocheted off of it. Nothing they could do. And I mentioned earlier there, Jeff, self-cleaning track. Some tracks like, maybe like a Dover or something. And what I mean by that, maybe somebody's new out there and don't understand, is a lot of times self-cleaning that means the cars, if wherever they wreck at, whether it be high, they'll kind of just instantly go down low to the inside of the track. Here, they kind of just either get stuck, stay where they are, or they will come back up the track. Daytona comes to mind. I've always been puzzled by that, and I know it's a physics thing, that as high a bank as that is, you would think that those cars would instantly just go all the way back down. But for some reason, those cars shoot straight back up the track.
Yeah, it's just one of those things, one of those mysteries of the world. What happened to the lost city of Atlantis? What was in the Library of Alexandria before it burned? And why do cars go back up the track at Daytona International Speedway? The world may never know. How many licks
Has
does it
anybody
take to
ever
get to the
said
center
maybe
of a Tootsie
books
Pop?
might have been in there?
Well, maybe. But I don't know. I don't know the full story, but apparently it was
either.
like, all these, artifacts and relics and the recipe for Greek fire and all this other stuff was allegedly in the library, but we'll never know. One of the great mysteries of the world.
Absolutely, and I tell you what, it's definitely right now it's going to be a mystery on who's going to pull this thing off here tonight at Darlington, because it has been a wild one. Kind of what we expected. I mean, they call this place a Lady in Black, too tough to tame here. And tonight it has been a tough one for a lot of these drivers to try to tame. Even though Josh Parker has been the fastest guy out here tonight, he's had a time getting back up front. I mean, Anthony DeBarro, he's got some damage on the car, but he's been able to at this point, I feel like track position is key. If you're the leader, that's where you want to be at.
I have to agree with you. We've seen time and time again that the most important factor here tonight isn't tires. It's really about two things. Keeping your car clean. Well, sorry, I have that backwards in my head. It's not so much about keeping your car clean. It's about keeping your car off the wall, and it's about track position. It doesn't matter how clean your car is to an extent. You can't really run too well with engine damage, but if you've got some bent up fenders, maybe the right front is bent in, you can survive and run well with that. But you have to keep that car off the wall. That's the most important thing, because once you hit it, you're stuck there.
Well, the place is considered a short track by nature here, along with something like with the Darlington and whatnot. So, not going to say the draft doesn't play a factor here, but it's not as huge as what it would be at a 1.5 mile or so forth. But green flag flies, and Anthony gets a good jump. Josh does not get one.
Well, the inside line didn't move. Josh Parker was there. I think I'm like 7 for 8 there with that theory, but now he's up to 4th place, and he's just going to ride around and try and get to that back bumper of Nick Silver and get around him. But it's going to be tough here getting up to the lead now.
At some point, I think he's probably just going to say, I need to settle in here and see what I can do. Maybe pick him off when we get to get a long run. And as I say that, then he's going to go to the inside of Nick Silver right there for the moment. But I think, he might think, well, can we just settle it in here, be patient, get a long green flag run, then I start picking them off one by one.
Right. These guys have been in the car for about an hour now, a little over an hour, and that's just in racing alone, not including practice and qualifying. And tempers will heat up there as well, as we have a battle side by side for the lead. Could be a pass on the bottom here.
That's going to close in Nick Silver and Josh Parker there too, as they're going to go side by side for 1 and 2, and it looks like Timothy's going to make that pass. Nick's going to get caught down low. Josh got the high lane. See what happens, and Nick comes off there sideways off the turn.
I'll tell you what, that was impressive. 4 cars driving together closer than they park. It's not easy doing that at any track, let alone here where you're drifting up the track in the corners. That's the racing line. The racing line is to move further up the track, so it's hard to run side by side with somebody when one guy moves up, maybe one guy doesn't move up as much or moves up too much. It's very, very difficult here to run side by side with people, and we saw 4 cars closer than most people parked, and everyone came out of it clean. As Josh Parker gets a great run, he's going to dive to the bottom of Anthony DeBarro.
And this is what he wants. He wants to pick them off one by one. He's going up underneath Anthony. That low line, though, you could see he's on those newer tires, but definitely, I mean, that inside lane just can't get the bite.
It's definitely, one of the harder lanes to pass in here. If I'm making a pass, I want to work my way to the outside. But if I'm in front of somebody, the one thing I never do is give them the outside line. So it's just one of those things at this track, especially as they're running awfully close to the wall now. I'm noticing they're getting closer and closer to it every time. As we've got a lap car up ahead, and that's certainly going to shake things up.
Absolutely. You got Brian Macklin back there too. He's moved it up there in the mix, and that's what Josh has to look at too. If he gets up there and goes side by side with Anthony too much, that's going to bring Brian right there along with him and right the lap car. But so far, Timothy Johnson holding them off up front. Anthony's hanging on to second. Josh there in third. Brian up to fourth. Nick Silver there in the fifth. Mike Kelly's moved it up in the sixth. Mike Matesi there in seventh. Steve Goschak, eighth. Chad Coleman ninth. And Scott Simley, Colin Scott Smiley up there in 10th place. Go a little further back here. Just been updating all night long here. E.J. O'Rourke, unfortunately, back at 24th. He's not been able to move back up to the front, after some mishaps early.
Yeah, and the biggest mover on tonight is our leader, Timothy Johnson. Started in 19th all the way up to first now. He's got a 0.4 second lead over Anthony DeBarro, who is trying his best to fend off Josh Parker. And the more that DeBarro and Parker fight, the farther away Johnson pulls. And the harder it is for whoever wins that battle for second place, the harder it is it's going to be to catch the leader.
Well, got to crack up and laugh a little bit here back here. Doug Roth, always calling him the king here in the Sim500. He loves those STP paint jobs. But I'm looking at, some of these guys, they filled out the little driver info thing. They got their driver photos. Well, I just noticed his is kind of sideways. I know he definitely would not want his car that way, so he's got to, maybe when he goes back and looks at this, I'm going to have to get up with him and say, hey, man, you might want to flip that picture up right so we can see you, because right now you're on your side.
Well, maybe it's a stylistic choice. Maybe it's getting in the head of the competition, and everyone's sitting there, they're driving around, they're going, I wonder why his picture is sideways, and then he just passes them, and that's it. Speaking of passing, looks like Parker and DeBarro are going at it again. They are within a tenth of each other. Josh Parker's right on that back bumper, but he just can't make a move here to get around that 27. If he gets side by side, he's got a good chance, but he just can't get there.
Absolutely. He's right there on the back end of him. Just can't quite make that pass. And again, he's got to look in his rearview mirror. You got Brian Macklin and company back there. So any move that he makes, they're close enough to strike. In this place here, we've not mentioned it too much here tonight. It is all about momentum. Coming in and out of those turns, you've got to have the momentum. And if he makes that move to the inside, well, he could lose a lot of momentum, and that'll bring Brian Macklin, who could just shoot right by him.
You're exactly right. To make a pass on the inside here, you need a combination of two things. You need a good run off the corner for one, and you almost need that other guy to make a mistake. You need him to overdrive the corner and let off the gas. Then you can stay side by side with him down the back stretch or the front stretch, down the straightaway, let's say. And going into the next turn, you have the position, and you have to clear them by turn exit. That's your only chance.
There you go. So right now, everybody's just kind of settling in, being patient. I mean, Josh is peeking on the inside, and he's going to try to make the pass.
Mistakes, DeBarro makes one. He had to get up close to the wall. Josh Parker's now there on the inside, but he's got to clear him here in the turn. He's not going to, and he's not going to be able to make the pass. And DeBarro holds the position coming onto the backstretch.
And you just saw right there all about that momentum, and you just see as these tires wear out later on, even though Anthony is running it up there. But you see how close he moves on his back bumper. That's a dangerous game, too. I mean, as he goes to the inside once again. But he gets close to that back bumper. If Anthony gets up in a wall, he can run right in the back end of it.
It'll end both their days if that happens. If he checks up to try and knock it into the wall, he's side by side here. Might be able to get the run off, but the advantage to the outside, you can see it. It is huge here. Carries so much more momentum on the outside, and he's not going to be able to get a pass. As he gets into the back bumper, he actually touches it. Both of them save it, gives him a little nudge, push up the track, I think that's Josh Parker's way of saying, hey, man, I'm done with it. We have 40 laps to go here, 39 laps to go, really. Makes the pass, blocks him down low, and now has 2 car lengths to him. And now DeBarro's going to have to hold off Brian Macklin, who was in the wall at the first part of this race. He's going to have to hold him off next.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, I think that's the only move that Josh could have done. He tried on the inside right there, and he was going to use his tires up. And if he keeps going the way he's going, Timothy Johnson's just going to drive off into the sunset if this thing keeps going green like it is. Because this is kind of the longest green flag run we've had so far. And the tires, yes, all night long they've had new tires. None of these drivers have experienced what it's like. Well, I would say none of them, but for the most part, none of them have experienced what a long, long run is on tires. And the more Josh would have battled right there, he would have used those tires up.
I'm afraid he might have already used his tires up there battling with Anthony DeBarro. He's not making up much time on the leader, Anthony Johnson, a little bit, but I also think the 28 is going to be taking it easy, get through the lap traffic. You don't have to worry. But spending so much time battling side by side with the 27, as we see now, the 27 might lose a spot here to the 30 car, and he does, of Brian Macklin, which leaves the 15 in position to make a run on him. But battling so hard side by side to the point where he had to use the bumper to get around him, that wore out both of their tires. And now Josh Parker is gaining maybe a tenth a lap, a little under a tenth a lap on the leader, and that could end up being negligible as Timothy Johnson, once he gets into clean air, he could take off.
Looking at the last lap times there, I am seeing Josh Parker's a little bit faster than Timothy Johnson. Johnson ran a 29.17 to a 29.083. Not much. Just kind of looking at the distance between them right now. Does he have enough time to run him down? That's the thing. If this thing, keeps going green like it is, that's what you got to, think about. Does he have enough time?
Well, the answer to that, the math says yes. The math says he has more than enough time if he keeps up this pace to run him down and catch him. However, that doesn't really take into effect that his tires are going to be wearing at a faster rate than Timothy's because he's used up more of them. So It could come out where it just sort of evens out. He only made up half a tenth there versus 0.8 of a tenth. So it's really, he's starting to slow down in how much he's gaining on the leader. He's really got to pick it up here if he's going to catch him.
He does. I'm looking at the times here, 29.256, 29.225. It's only hundreds there separating them time-wise, so he needs to start knocking tenths off here. He's still got a little time. The bad thing about this place is the more green flag runs they do, that 25, even though 25 laps you might think is a long time, or actually got a little more than that, sorry about that, but you might think it's a long time around here. It's not. It'll go away very quickly.
Yeah, I'm a math guy myself. I like looking at the numbers, seeing where the pattern goes, and that just went out the window. There's a caution.
Yes, it is. Sean Castro involved in this one. Let's go back on the replay here. See what just happened to him. Oh, again, locked up on the wall. And he's trying to keep it on the wall, and it keeps just bouncing. And eventually when he came down, got hit by another car. Wow.
Wrong place at the wrong time, unfortunately, for the car that was hit.
There was another one involved here, too. Brian. Oh, there was another wreck there in front of him. Okay, so Sean Castro was up there, but then Brian McRae, if I said that right there. But Brian actually was back here. I don't know if it kind of weird there. They both was trying to take the same spot at the same time, and guy got turned around. He went up into the wall.
There's just some strange wrecks here. Now, if I'm one of the leaders, I think I've got to go with 4 tires here, run out the last 30 laps. But if I'm in 6th, 7th place, 8th place, I might take 2 here, not put any fuel in it, or just put a little bit of fuel in, and take 2 tires.
That's a good gamble. I mean, we've seen it work all night long to get you out front. And again, Timothy Johnson stalls the car.
Oh, that is...
Oh, devastating. I don't know what's wrong, but something's wrong on his pit stall there. He's going to lose a massive amount of spots, but
Josh Parker's having
yeah.
trouble. Josh Parker's still sitting in his stall. He's getting passed by almost everyone. He's probably just lost 10, 15 positions.
We don't rewind back, but let's rewind here back, and because
What
it
in the
was
world did we
strange.
just see?
It was strange what happened with Tim. It looked like his car jumped forward and stopped like it was out of gear or something. Well, let's watch the pit stop again here by Josh Parker. One tire's on the side, getting his other tires here, and
Car goes down.
it just doesn't go.
Move.
Did he get a penalty? Did he get a speeding penalty that we don't know about? Oh,
Maybe.
devastating. I mean, that's devastating right there. Wow. That could have just cost him the race. Him and Timothy Johnson. I know Timothy Johnson, the car lunged forward when it came down from the other one. I thought he stalled it. It could have just been, something strange, but it kind of lunged and stopped real quick. That's why I said it looked like the car kind of stalled because the way it moved. But I think Josh Parker's was a penalty. I really do. And if so, he's back in 15th. This right here could pretty much do in his night.
Yeah, Timothy Johnson on exit stalled the car. Oh, he stalled it twice. Oh, man. Yeah, that had huge ramifications. He lost a lot of positions there, but Josh Parker just didn't
I think he had a penalty. I think it was a penalty.
It could have been a penalty, but it didn't look like he was speeding in. He didn't slow down significantly unless he was maybe a mile an hour or two over. I really don't know.
Still on the pace car. Or what? We're gonna do this.
Folks,
We're gonna do this real quick.
I'm shocked. I'm appalled. I'm
Josh Parker, you're waiting to boost. You got a copy?
Yeah, I get you.
We got to know what happened on pit road.
I was pushing a little bit too much and I sped a little bit, a little aggravated with the car, so kind of just screwed up.
We figured it had to be a penalty or something like that. We know Timothy Johnson, his car looked like it kind of nudged a little bit and maybe stalled on him, but man, I know it's devastating, but hey, you got a little time. You got a fast machine. Good luck out there.
Yeah, we're going to be patient here.
All right, there we go. It's getting back down in his room. So getting set to go back green. I mean, normally I wouldn't bring him up, but I just had to know what it was there, and oh man, that just devastating.
It is. You hate to see something like that, but Anthony DeBarro now, I think he's pretty happy. His biggest competition, I think, is Brian Macklin in that 30 car. If that 27 is careful with his tires this time, doesn't get caught in a side-by-side battle like he was earlier, he really could be in a good position here, as it looks like, yeah, he'll clear the 15. Now he's got to set sail for that 30 car, Brian Macklin.
Well, here's the thing. Josh has plenty of time to get through the front there, to get through these cars. I mean, he's still got a little more than 25 laps here. We've seen cautions play out up front.
We're seeing another one.
Wow. Matt LaCrosse involved in that one back there. Let's go back here on Matt and see what happened to him. Again, up into the wall. And he just was a victim of circumstance from there. And Doug Roth and E.J. O'Rourke involved in this one, unfortunately.
Yeah, it looks like two simultaneous cautions. Doug Roth ended up on his lid. And then, car's driving in after the fact. My goodness.
Well, Doug's trying to make his own way around the track, a new way here. He's trying to run the wall.
Yeah, literally run up the wall.
Yeah, and EJ heavily involved in that one. His night just has not been well all night long. It just seems like he's just gotten every crash.
Yeah, it's just he's been running well, getting his way up through the field. He's probably passed more cars than anyone else tonight, from back to front to back to front. It seems like just bad luck getting caught in other people's wrecks.
And that is one thing that Josh and Timothy there, which Timothy's now in a little bit better spot, I would say, than what Josh Parker was. He's up to 7th, but that's not what they want to see. They don't want to be, they're back there amongst all that traffic. Anything can happen. I mean, again, that's going to play, he's got to be very, very careful. Still back in the 14th place spot. Timothy's up to 7th. You've got Brian Macklin, a man out front, and Anthony DeBarro. We've talked about it. We know that guy's got a fast machine. Nick Silver's been there too. Chad Coleman, Mark Arthur. That Mark moving it up, making waves.
Yeah, Richard Beasley all the way from 29th to 9th. Oh, look behind him, though. Gael Brooks, he was involved in an incident earlier. His whole back end is pushed in. 36th he started, all the way up to 11th.
Man, wow. So he's got Parts America on the car, so he's definitely had a lot of parts to put that thing back together to get it back up front here. Like you said, currently running 11th. When you run a race like this, it kind of reminds me, I said it before, attrition. Basically, if it's a survival style race, it has been all night long. If you can survive and just keep running, usually, I'm not saying always, but usually you can come out of these races with a good finish.
Yeah, it's your exact words, a war of attrition. It's not the fastest car that wins the race. It's the first one across the line. A big part of it is staying out of incidents. You can take some damage on the car at a place like this here and there. It's like Bristol, it's not the prettiest car that wins it. You can win it with some damage, as long as your engine is still running at peak performance, I would say. But it's not the fastest car that wins it. It's the first one to cross the line. You need the track position to do it. And if you're pitting because you're involved in every wreck, then it's going to be a whole lot more difficult for you.
Did it at Gateway one time. We stayed in the back the whole entire time, pitted every time there was a caution there. Next thing you know, we ended up with a top 10. We just kind of played that game out, and it works. But you have to have the race, and obviously that race there I was in played out that way. This race is kind of the same way. A lot of cautions involved. So you're able to go in and get out, get up to the field. Cars damaged and whatnot, and you stay clean. Next thing you know, you're up front here, and I think that's what Gael and them have came up to, along with like Mark Arthur right there. Steve Goschalk back in the mix here, but to see what happens here is we're getting set to go back green flag here to maybe get down to the closing laps on this one.
You're absolutely right, and I think if you took the last probably 2 minutes of audio and just took that out of context and sent it to somebody, I don't know if they'd know if we were talking about a short track or a super speedway, because the advice is so similar. You either want to be out front, ahead of the wrecks, or you want to be way in the back, far behind them, So There's a lot of strategy that goes into it, a lot of thinking in advance. Now, if I had to choose where I'd want to be out front here for the last 25 laps or so, 24 laps.
And I think in a track like this, yes. I mean, playing the game, like I was saying before, being in the back can sometimes work. But I think with the safest place tonight has been up front here, as we've seen all night long. Pace cars in. We're getting set to go green. Brian Macklin drops the hammer. We're back green here at Darlington.
15 also gets a great start as the 27 falters. He could fall all the way back to 4th as he's got a car to his inside. He's going to make the outside work. Everyone looks like they're keeping it off the wall fairly well throughout the field. But that 27 car, he's a man on a mission. He lost the position to the 15 car, and he's going to get it back.
Yeah, they were side by side back there around about the 6th, 7th, 8th place spot. Kind of got checked up a little bit
he's in
there
the wall.
with Steve Goschalk.
No,
Whoa.
the 20, the 18, and the 28 are all involved as the 27 hits the wall.
Wow. Chad Coleman up front. Go back and watch and see what happens. That's Nick Silver. Yeah, Chad Coleman got in the wall. And from there, folks, let me show you here when we go in slow-mo just how close Josh Parker was. Parker was up top, and he made it through that. Wow. Scary moment for him right there. But, yeah, just everybody wrecking here. It took out a Louisville call.
A lot of strong cars, too. That's a lot of damage to that 27 car, but I don't think it's going to impact him too much. It's all rear-end damage, and that's not a huge factor here at a short track like this. But the cars that piled into him, the 20, especially the 18, that's a lot of damage, and that's awful tough.
Wow. Cars everywhere.
Really absolute mayhem, and just, a bit of overdriving by the 27. Like I said, he wanted to get up to that 15. He knew he had to pass him, and he just pushed a little bit too hard, got up into the wall. It's so easy to do here. And by the time you're up to it, once you know or suspect you're going to hit the wall, you think you're going to hit the wall, hitting the brakes, it's too late. It just pushes the car up the track. You're along for the ride at that point. You got to just hope you hit it and bounce right off.
Don't know what happened to Timothy Johnson. I don't know if he got involved in that, but he's on pit road way back in 20th. Guy that has benefited the most here by this stuff, Josh Parker, is back up to 10th. Wow. So, his luck is paying off so far.
Wouldn't that be a story if he came all the way back up to win after getting a speeding penalty with only about 30 laps to go? That would be something else.
It would, I tell you. It's been a wild one, and he dodged that last one there, dodged a bullet on it. Brian Macklin still leads it here with Nick Silver, Anthony Navarro, Richard Beasley, and Steve Goschalk around the top 5. Well, we're getting closer here, about that 15-lap mark. We'll be less than 15 to go when we go back green. Obviously, we have that one shot at the green-white checker. Don't forget about that. Oh, what do you think? Are they going to take it green or be chaotic?
I think we might. I'm going to be cautiously optimistic and say we're going to get a green flag run, but I think there's going to be at least one more caution before the end of this race. These guys have been in these cars for about an hour and a half now. Everybody's thinking to themselves, well, I've been here this long, I've been working this hard, I want to win it. And I think we're going to see a crazy move. Somebody overdrives it maybe. Somebody touches the back of somebody else. Nothing intentional, not to, suggest that all of these guys are not good drivers, because these are some of the best that I've ever seen in the K&N cars. But even when you get 100 good drivers together, all it takes is one person saying, I can push it, I can do it. You may even, misestimate a little bit, and you've got a big caution on your hands.
When we talk about it too, we've talked all season long, the K&N car, with the new tire model that they implemented last year with these cars. This car is just a handful. It's nothing like what the truck or the Cup car is. This thing out here is a different animal, and it has been all season long. And you compound that with the track that we've got tonight, it's just a recipe for disaster.
It really is. Sometimes these things just work out, and they work out well, and sometimes they end in disaster. It's a mixed bag. It really is just a mixed bag, but we're getting ready to go green here. We're going to see how it all plays out here with just a couple laps to go, under 20.
Absolutely. So here we go. Brian Macklin's going to lead them to the line with Nick Silver out front, Anthony Navarro there, Richard Beasley, Steve Goschalk. This is where you get kind of nervous as a driver up front.
Oh, if I'm one of the front guys here, I'm sweating bullets. If I'm Brian Macklin, I'm keeping my eye on that rearview mirror, that 27. We know he's fast, and if he gets around the 15 here right at the start, which is a good possibility of that happening. We've seen one line, the inside line with the leader, get great jumps throughout the night and even gain a position or two. If he gets around that 15 easily, man, that 30 car Brian Macklin is going to be in for a rough fight.
Pace car's in. Green flag flies. We're back racing.
A great start on the outside line is a great sign for that 30 car as the 27 falls all the way back to fourth. He's fighting for third. Down on the low side, looks like everyone's going to make it through there pretty clean. Josh Parker is getting back up towards the front. He's fast. He's got the outside here. He's someone you cannot sleep on quite yet.
No, it's not. He loves what he's seeing in front of him. A lot of these guys battling side by side because that's allowing him to climb back up there. Brian Macklin holding down that top spot for the moment. Nick Silver's there in second. Now Josh will be like, okay, guys, look, y'all side by side enough. Caution.
Yeah, really. He's going, I've had enough of sitting around and waiting. I'm making big moves to get to the front. High, low, it doesn't matter. He's passing everyone. He is just a man on a mission. I think he could get his way back up to the front here.
Could be when they cross the line. This time by will be 15 to go here. He's going to work over the back end of Scott Simley, Steve Goschalk, and company up there at the front. Everybody's kind of single file. Thing about it is here, though, the more laps that run down green flag wise, He would you know, if I was Josh Parker at this moment right now, I wouldn't want to be the caution, but I'd love to see one come out, because the more he runs back here to where he is, the more Brian Macklin and company is able just to pull away, and he's having to use those tires. He does have a little damage on the nose of that car.
Yes, he does. A little bit of damage there. I don't think it's impacting him too much as he's made his way around another car. He's up to 6th place. He's got a big gap to the guys in front of him, though. How fast he makes up this ground is going to be the biggest factor for if he'll be able to catch the leaders. If he just absolutely tears through this lead and is up there in the next lap or two, I think he really could have a chance of winning this race.
Yeah, I'm looking at the lap times right now. He ran a 29.1, but Brian ran a 28.8. And that just goes to show you where he's marred in traffic, Brian is out front. So that is I think that's the MO there from Josh. He understands why he's marred back here and having to pass these cars. Brian's out in clean air and long gone, and the laps are just winding down very fast. We're getting close to 10 to go.
You're absolutely right. That traffic is hurting him an awful lot, but now that he's got a big gap to the guys in front of him, he's cut it down to about half in only 2 laps. He is much quicker now that he's around the cars behind him. He's halfway to that pack in front of him that I first mentioned 2 laps ago, and he's gaining fast. He really could have a chance at least the top 5. I'm expecting that of him at this point, if not a top 3 or a win.
Looking at his lap times right now, he is not as fast as Brian Macklin, and I think that damage on the nose is hurting him. As we see Macklin out front, he looks pretty clean and has got clean air, and that time by Macklin ran a 28.8 to a 28.9. So yeah, Josh Parker off the pace. Even though he's making up ground, I think time is not going to be there. He's going to need a caution here in order to close this field up to maybe get up there, but could possibly get in that top 5 here. Brian Macklin's doing an outstanding job out front. He might steal the show here tonight.
I would not be too surprised if he ended up winning this race, but if you told me on lap 1 that he would be the guy winning it, I'd say he's just hit the wall. He just caused the first big wreck of the race. But he rebounded well. He's currently leading, and with only 11 laps to go, he's in a good position to win.
And Nick Silver's right there. Don't count him out. He's right there on his back end, and he's going to keep him honest. If Brian makes a mistake, and that time by, Nick was a tick faster than him. And so we'll just have to see what happens. He is closing in, Nick is, on the back bumper, so it'll be interesting to see if Nick's able to get there. And we've always said in the past, catching and passing is 2 different things, but you see that run, Brian gets coming off the turn. Nick going in into the middle of the turn is able to make waves.
Yeah, some guys are just better in some parts of the track than the other, and I think the most important thing is you want to be better coming off the turn. That's the biggest advantage, because the longest part of this track is the straightaways. So if you can consistently get a good run off the corner and carry more speed down the straightaway than the other guy, that's a darn good sign.
Well, you see right there, Brian, he came up, got awful close to the wall. That's what Nick would love to see, for him to get up and scrape that wall, bump it, get stuck up to it, and it could just slingshot right on by him. We'll have to see what happens as Nick Silver's right there with him. Anthony DeBarro's hanging on the 3rd. Richard Beasley having an outstanding run. Now he's right there on Anthony. So if Anthony makes a mistake or anything, Richard could get right there and maybe take that 3rd place spot.
This race is certainly not over yet. They have 8 laps to go. Lap 118. They have to complete 125. That 15 cars within about 2 or 3 car lengths at all times, but just not able to get up, and especially not get a run on the 30 car. It's easy to be as fast as somebody, but it's a lot harder to be fast enough to pass them. And I know those sound like the same things, but when you're sitting in that car, you can get up to that bumper, but getting around someone is a completely different story.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And that takes it back to catching and passing. And you see Richard right there, he's going to go to the inside, but I got to believe you just saw that car just not going to hook down low. He had the run, probably was faster, but just position and the way those cars are set up on this track, it's just not going to. But he's going to try it again. Oh, contact. Almost ran it up into him.
Man, oh man, they kept it going straight. That was incredible.
Josh Parker's going to take Steve Goschalk here and take that spot away, because I think that slowed up Steve just a little bit because he ran up there, and we talked about it, momentum. You see it, Richard lost a lot of momentum there on Anthony trying to get around him, so he's got to regroup, maybe calm down a little bit here, and the closing laps, we've got about 4 to go.
I think the car of Steve Gottschalk, he had to check up a little bit because he was anticipating a wreck in front of him, just like I was. I thought that 19 car was going around for sure, and losing that momentum, like you said, man, that just killed his run. And Josh Parker is up to the top 5.
Yes, he is. Josh right there behind the top 5. Richard's hanging on to 4th. Anthony Navarro's right there in the 3rd place spot. Brian Macklin's still the man out front, though. Nick Silver's holding strong with him. So if Brian makes a little bobble or a little mistake, well, Nick will be right there. And I know this looks like Nick just cannot close that gap, though.
Just can't get up to that back bumper even, and if he's struggling this much to reach the bumper, going around that car is, almost out of the question. With only 3 laps to go now as they cross the line, that's a tall order in just 3 laps to get up to this guy, catch him, and pass him all at once. We could see a bump and run, but I don't know, at a track like this, a bump and run quickly becomes a dump and run because any sort of contact wants to send that car around very quickly.
We saw it earlier there. Josh able to make it work pretty good to give a little, nudge to Anthony and got around him, but you definitely got to get up there close enough to get it done. And right now, Nick just cannot make up that ground. There's about a car length and a half between the two, the leader and the 2nd place. As we're coming around here, we should get the white flag this time by. It concluded in Darlington. It's been good because once we get the white flag, it won't matter what happens, caution or not. Still, those two up front. Well, I tell you what, Brian Macklin has run a outstanding race. Caught up in a wreck earlier on, and he's going to take the white flag for the final time here tonight.
White flag is in the air. He's got lap traffic in front of him. If he can get around this lap traffic clean, that's also a tall task as the lap car goes all the way to the bottom. Thankfully for Brian Macklin, I'm sure he's going to send him a thank you card later. And going into turns 3 and 4, he's just got to hold on to this lead here, not make a mistake, not hit the wall, and he will win this race here coming off of turn 4. The 30 car Brian Macklin, he's going to win it. Absolutely
an awesome run right there for him all night long. Brian Macklin puts it in victory lane here tonight. Wow, and he got the Dollar General machine out there too, so that's kind of cool. That way he'll everything's $1. Is that how his winning prizes is tonight too?
Yeah, I think so. Everything. You know what? I'll tell you what. Just because Brian Macklin won everything at the Dollar General, tomorrow you go there, it's gonna be $1. I promise you.
Absolutely. Well, what a run! I mean, it was little. Obviously typical Darlington race. It was rocky throughout. But, man, these guys got it together there at the end, and like we knew it would, settled down some. But Brian Macklin pulling it off. Josh Parker ended up in 4th. Anthony Navarro 3rd. Nick Silver there in 2nd place. Wow. Some runs here from these guys, and I can't get old Brian Macklin and them up here and get a word in with them because I know Brian's going to be happy to get. Be interesting to see, is he one of these that's get out of this place or hang out here some.
Well, Darlington was
right now.
The lady in black, too tough to tame for everyone except for Brian Macklin. Had a fantastic race. Patience was a virtue tonight. Worked his way from 4th all the way up to 1st. Had a rough start to this race, but at the end, the first one across the line, did a fantastic job doing it. Man, that was that's quite a comeback to go from hitting the wall and damaging the car right at the beginning to winning the race.
Absolutely. Well, let's bring up the 3rd place man here, Anthony Navarro. Let's get a word with him.
Anthony Navarro, Jeff up in the booth. You got me?
Yeah, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. I'm probably doing just about as well as you are. You had damage on that car from various incidents throughout the night, but you managed to take it home 3rd. But what I want to ask you about is you were in that side-by-side battle for the longest time there with the 23 car. What's going through your mind as you're battling for position with about 30 laps to go for that 2nd place spot to try and run down the leader?
Well, it's super tough to pass, and I was just I was down maybe 1 or 2 miles an hour on the straightaways. I was also having a problem with my brake; it's sticking, so that didn't help me down the straightaways either. But I was giving him the bottom, and then he decided to give me the bumper, so I gave the bumper back in turn 1. So I was too appreciative of that.
Well, that's I guess that's short track racing here. 1.36 miles Darlington Raceway is, but are you approaching this like other short tracks where you got to give the bumper? You know, it's hard to pass, and you're out there just trying to make it to the end. Is that your approach?
Well, my approach was to hit nothing, and I hit just about everything out there tonight. So my plan really didn't work, and I think I was maybe a 6th, 7th place car there. I just got lucky with track position, and I was able to hold it, you know, because it's so tough to pass. You really can't pass at the bottom, and I got really lucky tonight. And sometimes things go your way, and sometimes things they don't. So we'll take 3rd place tonight.
Certainly not a bad run at all. Who do you have to thank for getting you to that 3rd place finish?
All the guys at Dizzy, Nick, Shane, Tim, and Brendan helps us on Monday nights. He's running with us now, so all good group of guys. We have fun, make fun of this, win some races.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I said, well, we're gonna go win some races. So.
Well, we are certainly expecting to see that in the future. Congratulations on a great run there. 3rd place, started 6th, all the way up to 3rd. Fantastic run there. You hit a lot, like you said, but you know what? It all worked out in the end, so congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, there you go. 3rd place man, Anthony Navarro. I'll tell you what, what a night for him. Well, let's bring up this 2nd place man here, Nick Silver.
Nick Silver, Jeff up in the booth. You got me?
Yeah, I got you.
Well, you had a great run out there tonight. You started all the way back in 12th and worked your way up to 2nd. Talk us through those last couple laps there. We were commenting on it up here in the booth. It seemed like you were just stuck like a wall of air about 2 car lengths back until coming off that last corner where you almost had him there by about 1/2 you were within winning this race. So talk us through those last couple laps as you were trying to catch the leader there, Brian Macklin.
Well, I was really, he seemed like he had a little more speed than I did, so I was really just trying to put some pressure on him, hoping maybe he'd slip up, make a mistake, let me go by, but he was pretty strong. He wasn't making any mistakes, so I don't know if there was any aero push, but it did seem like once I got to him, I just couldn't do really much with him, but I don't think there was aero push. I think that was just him being strong, but we gave it one last shot right there at the end and came up short.
Well, you certainly wasn't by much at all, and we were talking to Anthony Navarro about this. What was your plan approaching this race? You know, it's almost 1.5 miles this track is, but it races a lot like a short track. So what was going through your mind before the race to try and prepare for this? What was your strategy?
Basically, strategy was to survive and be there at the end, which is what ended up happening. You know, obviously there were a lot more cautions than we wanted there to be that race, but we knew it was going to be a survival race, try to stay out of the wall. You know, something about these cars, they seem to like to get glued to the wall once you touch them. So that's what I did all race, just focused on keeping out of the wall and keeping it clean.
Well, it seems to have worked well for you. Who do you have to thank for getting you up to that 2nd place finish?
Well, of course, got to thank Nemesis Lab for sponsoring this series. You know, without great sponsors like them, we all wouldn't be here having fun. Got to thank you guys for putting on a great show. My teammate Sean Casto, you know, he's always a great help. And got to say hi to my mom and dad watching at home. It's been a while since I got to do that. Haven't been here in a while.
Well, it's great to have you back up here with us. I'm sure we'll see more of you in the future after a great race like that. You certainly showed you got the speed, you got the talent to run up there near the front. Congratulations on a 2nd place finish.
Thank you.
2nd place man right there, Nick Silver. Did a job on his end. Let's bring this guy up here tonight, pulling it off in victory lane. Brian Macklin's your way in the booth. Got a copy?
Yes, sir. What's going on?
Well, I tell you what, you hit the wall earlier on. Did you think you was going to put this thing in victory lane tonight?
Well, the thing about Darlington is you can put the car in the wall a few times, and generally it doesn't tear the car up to where you can't run well. So I was concerned because I hit the wall on lap 1. I came in, I let the crew work on it. It wasn't that bad, and then it was just about trying to get track position back and get yourself in the right position. And I caught a couple lucky breaks with some of the other guys wrecking out. Nick Cohen and David Comstock and a couple other guys got caught up in a wreck late, which kind of put me in position. And then it was just about making sure you didn't make any mistakes from there.
Oh, and you did it there in the last several laps, definitely. I think now Nick was in your rearview mirror. Was that kind of keeping you honest up front?
Oh, absolutely. I told Nick right after the race was over that I ran that car as hard as I could on that last run, just trying to stay away from him. And I felt like I drove it too hard. I was afraid I had burnt the right front off of it to where he was going to be able to pass me. And I definitely think if we'd had any longer of a run, he probably would have been able to, because there was nothing left for my right front by the time we took the checkered flag.
Well, it was outstanding. Either way, you put it in victory lane for the Darlington tonight here for the Nemesis Lab K&N Series. It was a wild one from the start to the finish. You got anybody you want to thank?
Oh, absolutely. I got to thank all my teammates back at Aftermath Motorsports, EJ, Trey, Justin, Adam, all those guys. We get together, we race, we have a good time. I got to thank you guys for putting on the broadcast. I go back and rewatch these things every week. You guys do an amazing job. Obviously, got to thank all the admins at Sim500 for putting this on, and just thank everybody for being a part of it. It's a lot of fun, and I'm glad I got my second win this season.
Absolutely, and definitely put it in victory lane again there, Brian. Congratulations on the win tonight.
Yes, sir. We'll see you next week.
All right, there we go. I'll tell you what, Jeff, been a wild one. Typical Darlington here. Hey, too tough to tame, and it was a tough one tonight, but Brian able to pull it off. What you think about that one?
Boy, that was what a race that was. And I don't think it was the fastest car that won here tonight, just like, we say every week. It was the first one to cross the line. Some great strategy calls. Brian Macklin, I was surprised to see him win this race after, like we said, getting right into the wall on lap 1. But it all worked out in the end. He ran a fantastic race. It was interesting seeing all the different strategies, how they played out, seeing how well 2 tires worked when I was really not expecting it to work as well as it did. So really amazed by how well people were thinking when they were out on track. The moves they were making were all smart, and everyone racing with a lot of respect. A lot of different strategies out there. It was very interesting to watch. I couldn't have asked for a better race.
Absolutely, and I tell you what, we're going to leave Darlington here tonight for the Nemesis Lab K&N Series. It was a wild one here, but Brian Macklin pulled it off. Well, for myself and Jeff and everybody here at the Sim500, everyone, have a good night.